All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. I'm starting here with an audio check just to see that you can hear me. So I'll invite you to click on the hand icon that's up on the control panel on your upper right screen. If you can hear me, please click on the icon and we'll just make sure that everybody's audio is working correctly. Thanks, Edith, Catherine, Matthew. And you can click on your, Nicole, Teresa, you can click on your hand icon once I've called your name. Good. All right. So just want to make sure we've got everyone there. So now we're going to switch roles, and if you cannot hear me, I'm going to type this in. Please click on the hand icon. This is just the little growing pains of getting our webinar going.
There's one.
Okay, so we'll just check in with Travis to see what's going on there. Just a second. Sorry, just trying to communicate with Travis here. His hand's still up, so I want to make sure that everyone's properly connected with their audio. Okay, looks like we're good to go. And Edith, your hand is still up. Are you good to go? If you are fine, can you click on your hand icon? And yeah, there we go. Thanks very much. All right, so my name is Lauren Crawford. I'm here to assist Marianne with this webinar tonight. I'm kind of the back-end person, working behind the scenes, that is. And so Marianne will be with you shortly to present the content of the webinar. I'm just going to spend a minute here walking us through how to have the best experience with the webinar. You'll see in your handout tab on the control panel on the right, if it's shrunk down, there's a little orange arrow in the upper right corner that you can click on and open the control tab. You'll see a handout button and you can click on that. There's two handouts. You could open them both now and you may want to save them to your computer if you're working on a computer, or if you're on another device, you might just want to scroll through. Now, the tips for a successful webinar, this is a handout that we created the other day after the webinar that we did, where some people said a little bit of a guidance would be helpful. So that's what that's for. I'm going to go through all this stuff, most of it anyway, so you don't need to read necessarily through the document unless you'd like to. So this is the control panel on the upper right side of your screen. It controls the stuff that you're going to see. There's a chat box in there, which you would have seen, and that's where you can send messages to myself or Marianne during the presentation. And this is where if you have any questions that come up, we're going to do a Q&A at the end. That's where we'll be putting those questions in the chat box for the instant messaging. And they only come towards the organizer or the presenter, so you choose who you're going to send your message to. I hope that's clear. What else do we need to know? So the hand icon, we already explored that. So if a question comes up during the presentation, your hand can be raised. I see that Grant, your hand is raised. Do you have a question, Grant? If so, can you type it in the chat? Oh, hands down. Okay, so I'm assuming that there was no question there. All right, so anytime you do have a question though throughout the webinar, you can raise your hand. I'll be continually scrolling through the attendee list just to see if anyone's have any questions, but Marianne's got this stuff covered. She did a great job the other day. She'll do a great job today. We are recording the session, so it will be made available to circulate for those who were unable to attend. Currently, we've got about 13 people here. I think there were a good 20-something that registered, so not to worry there. They'll be able to watch later. What I'd like to do now is one of the functions on the webinar is to use a polling feature, and those of you who have been on webinars before, you'll have seen this. So I'm going to launch this poll, and this is just a little test to get you sort of warmed up for the fun time you're going to have with Marianne. So the poll is just out now, so you can fill in your response if it's your first webinar or not. And we'll just give you a second. 69% of you have voted, 85% of you had voted. Oh, it's getting exciting. 92% of you have voted. We probably need 1 or 2 more votes in there. Hopefully everyone can see it. If you're on a device that may get buried somewhere, we'll give you another couple of seconds. There we go. All right, so let's have a look-see. There's your responses. So 46 yes, 54 no. So it's a pretty good mix. So hopefully this is going to be a great opportunity for those of you who are new to webinars to explore this technology. It's something we want to work a lot more with in the future because it gives us an opportunity to reach out to members, share information with them, do some education with them in a way that doesn't require you to have to get into your car and drive somewhere and all, all of that entails. So I think I've covered everything mostly. Marianne, have I?
Yeah, do you want to do the other 2 poll questions?
We certainly can. Let's go back to the poll feature then. All right, so okay, just going to launch another poll for you. So again, if you take a moment to fill out that. You guys are really efficient pollsters, love it. Okay, so it looks like we've got full completion there. And I'm just going to share that result with you. So 36% yes and 64% no. So that's an interesting split. So some of you will have experience and you some of this stuff may feel more like review and others just may be really new to you. So that's great for us to know. All right, and then you wanted me to do the next one as well, did you, Marianne?
Yes, please. Last one, promise.
So there you go. So Marianne's going to give you guys a really hard test at the end. So, those of you who are new, listen closely. I'm just kidding. Great. Almost at 100%. There we go. Excellent. Thank you. And then we'll show you the results. Perfect.
In the right place.
Excellent. Well, here we go. So I'm going to hand things over to Marianne and just do that now. Get rid of my mugshot and leave you guys in Marianne's capable hands. I'll be scooting around in the background and hopefully looking after things and making this a great experience for you. So have a good webinar.
Thank you, Lauren. Is my screen up?
Okay, we can see you now.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everybody. My name is Marianne Larico. I'm a regional representative from the Kingston Regional Office here. In just a sec, we're going to start our resolution writing webinar, which is a primer. So I'm going to take you to the PowerPoint now. And as Lauren said, if you have any questions or if you want to respond, because there are parts of it that will be participatory, just let me know in the chat box. Sound good? Okay, I know I can't get feedback there, but sounds good. Okay, so this is a primer for the 7th PSAC Ontario Regional Convention, which is going to be held May 26th to 28th, 2017 at the Hilton Mississauga Meadowvale Hotel. The deadline to register and the deadline to submit resolutions is February 25th, 2017. So we'll go through an agenda. Together, we're going to explore resolutions, explore the application of an equity lens so that you can draft a resolution for conferences or conventions and apply equity and class lenses to resolutions to build an inclusive union. We do note that this webinar is meant to complement and not replace the full convention preparation course, which will be run by each regional office before the next regional convention. We offer this webinar as a tool to help members understand what they need to write a resolution and as a springboard for conversations about resolutions. For more in-depth face-to-face discussions about how to get a resolution passed or how to mobilize around a resolution, please be sure to sign up and attend a convention preparation course in the new year. A full listing of each regional office's course offerings are available as updated at the PSAC Ontario website, which is ontario.psac.com. Please note that the PSAC statement on harassment that governs all PSAC events governs this webinar as well. If you have a question that's not related to the material, please do write it down in the chat box and we'll place it into a virtual parking lot. But I will respond to your question following the webinar. In addition, please refer to the handouts that are under your handout tabs because we will be looking at them as well. So we'll start. What is a resolution? So resolutions are proposals that are put forward at conventions to develop new positions on various issues or to change existing positions or policies. Resolutions usually provide explanations or rationale outlining a particular position, and then the resolve focuses on the solution or desired outcome. So in short, a resolution is a description of a problem, the justification for why the union should take action, the specific action to be taken to resolve the problem, and also outlines accountability, so who, when, and what resources. The basics, the basics of formatting. So this is in the handouts that are out there, but I've outlined these here because they're very important. For the PSAC Ontario region, submitted resolutions need to be in either clear or traditional format. We'll go through those formats in a moment. They have to be formatted in 14-point Arial font. They are limited to 150 words, and they're not to include any special formatting such as boxes or drawings. The REVP usually will assign each resolution to a committee, a convention committee. So they're usually for Finance Committee, Constitution or Bylaw Committee, Collective Bargaining, or General. There are consequences to not following the basics of formatting, which include your resolution being ruled out of order, and there's usually a lot of work that goes behind them, so you don't want to have your resolution thrown out for those reasons. So traditional versus clear language format. So if you refer to your handout, and actually I'll get it up on the screen right now. So traditional format is on the screen right now. Let's take this one, for example, where the title is National Child Care Program. It has the originator, it has a language of origin, and it's in a whereas format. So whereas the federal government has refused to establish a national child care program, and whereas the PSAC has long supported such a program for all Canadian workers and their families, And whereas a good opportunity to achieve a national child care program exists at the present time due to a minority federal government, this is a dated example, be it resolved that the PSAC increase its efforts to work with child care groups and other organizations on a regional and national basis to lobby for the establishment of a sufficiently funded national child care program. So that's the traditional format. Now we can look at the clear language format, and the exact same resolution, it just outlines it in a different way. So it still has all of the information that you saw in the previous example, except it outlines it in a different way. So it outlines first the problem or the issue. So the problem is the federal government has refused to establish a national child care program, that the PSAC has long supported such a program for workers and families, and that it's a good opportunity. And it's at the very bottom that you see the action requested. I'll just scroll down there. Whoops. Is that the PSAC increase its efforts to work with child care groups and other organizations on a regional and national basis to lobby for the establishment of a sufficiently funded national child care program. So you see they get at the same thing, but they are both in just different formats. So these are the two types of formats that PSAC at the regional and national levels accept resolutions. I'll just take you back to the PowerPoint. Give me a second. There we go. So also in your handout is an outline of a good resolution. So a good resolution uses clear wording. Give me a second. I'll just get time. Uses clear, simple wording. It also is concise and focused. That is, it respects the word limit, 150 word for PSAC. Deals with just one topic or problem and has one major objective. It clearly identifies a problem. It specifically outlines the required action. It builds accountability. That is, it lists deadlines, who will be responsible for implementing the proposed action, and what resource will be required. It ensures that the action proposed is within the jurisdiction of the organization to implement it. So it's got to be something that we can do. It's feasible. And that it isn't something that is constitutionally dealt with in another way. So for example, bargaining demands. That should properly go through the channel of an input call. The resolution should allow for flexibility in implementation, that it's the end result that matters, and that it's submitted on time, so it's not a late resolution. In fact, if you give committees a lot of leeway, if you get your resolutions in quickly, it helps in lots of ways. And it also isn't something about something that's already enacted. So if you're unsure if there's a resolution out there that you have this great idea that might have already been implemented or is in the works of being implemented, you can contact your regional executive vice president's office or your area councils. They should have that history there. And it applies the who, what, when, why, and how test. So that's sort of an outline of what a good resolution includes. So now you can see on the screen Resolution 1 and it states the PSAC should launch a campaign for members working non-standard hours because lots of people are increasingly affected by non-standard work. So you can see the questions on the side that I want us to consider. What is the problem? What is the solution? Is it well written, and how can we strengthen it? So the first one, and I'm going to give for each question about 30 seconds for people to go type into the chat box and let me know what the problem is. And then we'll go to the solution and then how we can strengthen it. So let me know what you identify as the problem. I'll just give you a few seconds. Okay, great. So far we've identified that the problem is people being negatively affected by precarious forms of work. So that's what we have so far. And yeah, I can definitely see that. Okay, so what about the solution? Can folks give me the solution that's in the resolution here as it reads? Okay, yeah, we have that the PSAC should launch a campaign raising awareness about the effects of precarious work. That's a great problem and solution identifying here. But so if that is the problem and that is a solution, does this resolution cover it or address it? No, not right. I'm getting a whole bunch of no's. Okay, so how can we rewrite this? How can we strengthen it? Give me some ideas. It is definitely vague. I'm going to have, okay, I will change this here. That PSAC should launch a campaign for precarious workers. That's one way we can address it for sure. Good, because lots of people are increasingly affected by non-standard work. Great. So that's a good point. But we can probably comb over this resolution multiple times. The point here is that there's a lot of ways that you can change a resolution to clarify it, to remove some of the vagueness. Because at the end of the day, it's you that's lobbying, it's members that are lobbying to get it changed. And if it's not clear, it's hard to get people on board with it. So, you know, as is usual with any written document, it's usually best to get several sets of eyes on a resolution or fresh perspectives that can help strengthen the resolution. So you're always encouraged to consult beyond your local and your local executive. Take your resolutions to your area councils, to committees, to regional council representatives. So that was great. Thank you. I'm going to get us back into our PowerPoint. Okay, so now we're going to move into applying equity and class lenses to resolutions. I had a lot of feedback about, you know, what to remove from resolutions, if it's vague, to clarify. Now that we know, you know, some quick and dirty tips to change a resolution to make it more accessible, now we want to know how to apply an equity and class lens. So why do we need to do this? Well, it promotes democracy. So unions are democratic organizations where decisions are made at various levels all the time, such as at membership meetings, committees, councils, conferences, and conventions. It also ensures equality and inclusivity. So conventions are basically where resolutions are accepted or rejected that affect the overall operations of the union. So it's important that adopted resolutions not contribute to inequality in any way. So of course, to prevent this, we have to apply both an equity and class analysis or lens to decisions or resolutions before submitting them and or adopting them. So what it looks for when you apply an equity or class lens, it looks for potential adverse impacts for equity-seeking groups, and we'll look at that in a second. And it looks for if the resolution creates any barriers for anyone. And there's a note there that our own privilege should always be considered. So when you ask yourself some questions, if you notice that you're having a discussion about a resolution and somebody's not at the table discussing it, maybe you need to talk to somebody who does belong to that equity-seeking group. So equity-seeking groups, the following are equity-seeking groups covered by human rights legislation: women, persons with disabilities, First Nations or Indigenous people, Métis or Inuit, racialized persons or racially visible or workers of color, gay, lesbian, bisexual, two-spirited, queer, and trans persons. In addition, we also tend to recognize in the PSAC young workers as an equity-seeking group as well. So how can you apply an equity or class lens? So these are the questions that you need to ask about your resolution. After you have it, the shiny, well-worded, concise resolution, you need to then apply an equity lens and ask yourself who benefits and who hurts the most from the resolution. Can the resolution be modified to eliminate adverse negative impacts on equity groups? And can the resolution be modified so it eliminates a potential class divide? So when we're talking about class, in a crass way, we're speaking about socioeconomic status or income inequality or access to capital wealth. So there are poor people, low-income people, middle-class people, first class. That's what we're talking about here, access to capital wealth. So here's another resolution that I want us to look at for a second. And I want us to apply an equity and class lens to this. So we can practice applying this by asking ourselves the following questions. And I'll just forward this. On the side, it says, who benefits or hurts most from the resolution? Can the resolution be modified to eliminate adverse negative impacts on equity groups, and as well modified so that it eliminates a potential class divide? So let's break this into two questions. Right now, I'll give you a minute or two to let me know, first of all, what is the intent of this resolution? Well, let's do it in 4 questions. What is the intent of this resolution? Somebody let me know. Great. I have, oh, great. Yep, it seems like there's a few people have noted that it's to remove barriers to union education. I have another one that says it's to make union education more accessible to members in the union. Absolutely. I can see that intent here as well. Okay, so now I want you to tell me, does it meet its objective? Excuse me, the resolution as it's written. No, right. I'm getting a whole bunch of no's. Who does it create barriers for? Does it create barriers for anybody? Oh, good. I have possibly women who would need childcare in the evening. Yeah. I have northerners. Somebody said northerners. I have shift or precarious workers. So shift workers, absolutely. Which ties into class. Great points. I'm getting lots of great feedback here. Okay, so if it hurts these people, who does it benefit? Who does this benefit? Yeah, I see a typical 9-to-5 worker. Standard hours of work, absolutely. Absolutely. So it probably hurts more people in precarious positions than it does. So it doesn't fill its intent. Absolutely, I will agree with that. Okay, now I want to know how we can strengthen it. So let me know how we can change this up to reflect something a little better. Excuse me. I'll just give you a minute to get your responses in. Okay, I have one response so far. It says, all PSAC basic education will be offered in a variety of schedules. Okay. So that what? So yeah, good. So that basic, oh, sorry, excuse me, education, oh, because, okay. Because basic education should be accessible to more members. Right. This is exactly the route that you would want to take to develop it. So you're looking at the intent. Thank you for your feedback. I won't change anymore. But you look at your intent and you ask yourself, who does it benefit and who does it hurt? And once you have that analysis down, then you can go back to your resolution and find ways to strengthen the actual resolution so that it takes into account an equity or class analysis. Great job. Thank you for all of the feedback. So I'll go back to our PowerPoint. So that actually concludes our resolution writing quick and dirty webinar. It's important that we continue to use class and equity lenses in all aspects of our union work to ensure that members from equity-seeking groups are not further marginalized. So when you're drafting your resolutions for regional women's conferences, national equity conferences, or any convention, we need to use the class and equity lenses and ask yourself the key question of who benefits and who hurts most, and then make any necessary changes. So I'm going to open the floor right now in our chat box to see if there's any questions that are outstanding. And if not, please make sure that you visit the website, which is listed on there, which is http://ontario.psac.com to sign up for a full face-to-face convention preparation course where you'll learn more tips and tricks about how to get your resolution passed and how to mobilize around your resolution. So I'm just waiting maybe another 30 seconds for questions.
So Marianne, we had an email from Laura who was having problems with the chat. So Laura, if you're all right, we'll unmute you, and if you want to, if there's anything you need or want to say, then we'll give you the opportunity to do that now.
Sure.
Sorry about the chat malfunction. Is there anything you wanted to contribute at this point? Are you there, Laura? Okay. Marianne?
Yeah, no, well, if you need to email myself on the side, my email address is lauricm@psac.com.
Do you want to put that in the chat box for them? So.
Oh, yeah, I'll write that in the chat box as well. Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome.
And I'll just do that.
So the chat box, in case any of you are having problems, sometimes the control panel shrinks up in the upper right corner of your screen, so you need to open it. So there's a little orange arrow that you toggle over and open and that's where the chat box is perhaps hiding if you were having troubles with it.
Okay, so without further ado, you are free to go.
One more thing we might want to add, there's a survey that's been appended to the webinar, which you'll receive when we close the webinar, and it would be really helpful to us just in terms of getting the feedback on the experience here, the content, and the overall process. If you wouldn't take a moment to if you would take a moment of your time to complete the survey, that would be really, really helpful. So maybe we'll just show our faces again to bid you adieu and have a great evening. Thanks so much. I think this was a really successful webinar. Excellent content delivery, Marianne, and good participation, you guys. I hope you learned something. And we do have one more poll that we could potentially give you before you sign off. Let's just have a look there. Sorry, bunch of screens popped up all of a sudden. Okay, it's just going to launch it now. Just want to make sure that you're seeing it.
81%.
Great. I think we might be missing one last voter. Last 5 seconds. All right, so we'll show you the results. There you go.
A lot of you. Well, good luck. And if you have questions, email me or Lauren, and we'll get back to you.
And do your survey. We're really keen on getting your feedback and doing more webinars with you in the future. Have a great evening.
Bye.